Few places on earth are as central to the human story as the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. To some, it is Eretz Yisrael. To others, it is Palestine. Today, we're going to step back from the headlines and explore the deep historical claims of both the Jewish and Palestinian people. Before we begin, I want to be clear. I am not here to tell you who is right or who this land belongs to. I am simply placing the historical facts on the table. By the end of this video, you will be the one to decide whose claim you find more compelling. The Jewish historical claim. The Jewish claim is rooted in over 3,000 years of history. Archaeological evidence confirms the presence of a people called Israel in these highlands as early as 1200 BCE. By 1000 BCE, historical records describe the United Monarchy of Kings David and Solomon, followed by the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. This is where the Hebrew language and the Jewish religion were born. The first and second temples in Jerusalem were the spiritual heart of the Jewish world. However, following the Roman-Jewish wars in the 1st and 2nd centuries CE, the majority of the Jewish population was forced into exile or fled, beginning a 2,000-year period known as the Diaspora. During this time, Jews across the world continued to pray toward Jerusalem. The modern Zionist movement, which began in the late 1800s, viewed this not as a colonization, but as a return of an indigenous people to their ancestral home after centuries of persecution in foreign lands. The Palestinian historical claim. Now let's look at the Palestinian claim, which is rooted in continuous residence and a deep, multi-layered connection to the soil. While many Jews were living in exile, the ancestors of today's Palestinians remained on the land. It is a vital historical point that Palestinians do not see themselves as invaders from the 7th century Arab conquests. Instead, they consider themselves the descendants of the many peoples who have lived in the region for millennia. This includes the ancient Canaanites and notably the ancient Israelites who stayed behind. Over centuries, these original inhabitants converted, first to Christianity and later to Islam, and intermarried with the various groups that passed through the region. For Palestinians, their claim is one of unbroken presence. While the Jewish majority left the region nearly 2,000 years ago, the Palestinian people remained, tending the olive groves and building the cities for over 1,300 years of continuous history. The question of lineage and appearance. This leads to a complex discussion about heritage. Because the Jewish population was scattered across the globe for 20 centuries, they lived within and often married into diverse populations in Europe, North Africa, and Central Asia. This is why today, a Jewish person from Poland may look very different from a Jewish person from Ethiopia or Yemen. Conversely, Palestinians point to their DNA and cultural history as proof that they are the biological remnants of the land's ancient inhabitants who never left. They argue that a population that has been living on and working the land for dozens of generations has a primary right to it, regardless of the ancient kingdoms that existed there in the Bronze Age. The 20th century collision. The conflict we see today emerged when these two perspectives collided. You have a Jewish movement seeking to return to a biblical homeland to escape global anti-Semitism. And you have a Palestinian population that had been the overwhelming majority for centuries, seeking their own independence as the Ottoman Empire collapsed. In the early 1900s, Palestinians made up over 90% of the population. They argue that the principle of self-determination should have allowed them to form a state in the land where they were the clear majority. The Jewish claim counters that they are the only people who ever had a sovereign, independent kingdom in that land, and that their right of return does not expire. Conclusion. We are looking at a clash between two different types of belonging, one based on ancient sovereign history and a spiritual return, and one based on centuries of continuous habitation and indigenous development. I've laid out the facts of both arguments, from the ancient temples of the Israelites to the deep, unbroken presence and mixed lineage of the Palestinians. Now I want to hear from you. Based on the history we've discussed today, who do you think has a better historical claim to the land? Is it the people who held the original sovereign kingdom, or the people who remained and worked the land for the last 1,500 years? Put your thoughts in the comments below, and please, let's keep the discussion respectful. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, and share this with your angry Palestinian or Israeli uncles.